Good morning, short story writers. And today we're going to continue the theme of polythene bags, plastic bags, because they have a lot more uses. I had a little flashback to a time when there was a little old lady getting on a bus and she had to pay the fare, and she was going through this little plastic bag that she got, counting out all the little pennies and things and putting them in one by one, and people behind her in the queue why she have the money ready, she knew how much it was, etc, etc, etc. And clearly she did. However, that is the story prompt, or one of the story prompts here, that somebody hoards something, and it's a lot of things of little value each, but together they make up a lot of value. So maybe that was her day's eating money there, as well as her bus fare. And the reactions also are a story prompt, simply because people do get impatient with having to queue for 2 seconds longer. This is why people jump red lights, or they think, oh, I don't want to have to wait at the red light, because therefore I will drive through on amber or orange, if you prefer to use that word. We call it amber. And so the reaction could be your short story idea, but also the fact that this little old lady's got everything in a plastic bag, which would bring us then to people who carry wealth and precious items around with them, and then they become a target of being mugged. There's a British comedian called McIntyre, and apparently he was carjacked, and he my friend was talking about this. They were after his Rolex, but they took his car as well. His Rolex was worth £10,000 or something like that. It tells the time. But my friend said that he had heard a similar story of a guy who walked into a pub. A guy walks into a bar, and it's not very funny, because two of the people in there see that he's got his precious thing on him, and they waited for him to leave, and then they assaulted him and took his watch. Plastic bags, though, returning to the short story idea, is also where people wrap things up to keep them dry. So you could write a story where that happens because there's a camping expedition. It could be that somebody's just got, say, their degree certificate, and they're taking it to the Postbox, and they're taking it to the Postbox in order to send the transcript that would be rather than the actual degree, sending it to a future employer. And while they're taking the walk, your story could be kind of a flashback of all the things that went into getting the degree and applying for the jobs, previous jobs that have failed, perhaps a failed relationship of some kind, and now a lot of hopes are resting on this. Maybe it's an exotic job, maybe it's a job traveling abroad, so teaching English as a foreign language, or going on volunteering. In America, I believe you've got something called the Peace Corps. I don't know the details, so maybe older people don't volunteer for that, but if it is available to somebody who's been through that process and they're of a certain age and they're thinking, something, I need a clean break, it could be somebody applying to go and live in a lighthouse, or go and work in the Antarctic, somewhere like that. Plastic bags also, because they contain things of treasure, can be lost, and therefore your protagonist could find it. And who knows what's inside? There could be a small fortune in banknotes. There could be a bundle of love letters that are being used for blackmail. But the protagonist finds them and goes through them and then pieces together a story. And also, taking this to the science fiction stroke horror fantasy level, then those, well, deal with fantasy and horror first. Those things, the letters could be spells and incantations and curses. And if science, it could be somebody's hastily scribbled eureka moment which is going to change the world. They've worked out how Tesla was going to provide free energy. They've worked out the secret of perpetual motion. They've worked out, or a secret. They've had an insight into the unified theory. They have seen something which is obvious and they've had a Lorenzo's oil moment. In other words, and nobody else has seen it, and they've dropped it. And so your protagonist could be a story where they try to get it back to them. They make a lot of inquiries and thereby attract the attentions of government agencies, which would turn it into a thriller. Okay, 5:48. What else? I've got about a minute and a half before we hit that dreaded 8-minute mark. So the reason I don't like this is not a short story idea at all, but the whole idea of Google inserting ads is that unless YouTubers have got a certain level of hours and subscribers, then Google seem to reserve the right to put ads in but keep the money for themselves. What is their platform and etc. I've got no argument with that, but they put them in the middle, and I can't see the point of watching a 10-minute video if somebody puts in her 25-minute video advertising the law of attraction. And you've got to sort of, well, my iPad went a bit weird one day and I couldn't turn the ads off, and they weren't giving me the opportunity to skip them. So I just in the end stopped watching. And now if something is monetized, I'll watch the beginning ones to give the YouTuber the income, provided they are very, very short. If not, I'll watch 30 seconds or 31 seconds and then press skip ads, because if people want to make big, long, boring ads telling me how I can... There's a short story idea for you. Somebody who goes on the rampage after being advertised to, and they go and find the person making the claim because oh, there's my alarm. Time for me to shut up and get out of here. Another short story idea. Maybe we'll deal with that one tomorrow. No, it's rubbish. I'm going to see if there's any more polythene bags ideas. All right. Thumbs up if it was okay, please. Thumbs up if it was a load of old nonsense. And until tomorrow, happy writing.